In today's video, I continue to have a chat with Munira Hudani. So this is the part 2 of the video to talk about what the definition of healing diastasis recti, what it means to heal the diastasis recti. You see the tummy here. I had lots of loose skin here because of the diastasis recti that I had after my 2 babies. And we'll talk about when is a good time to heal your diastasis recti, or maybe when is not the right time, and maybe who should consider tummy tuck surgery, the pros and cons and nuances about it. So if you're interested, watch this video. But if you're interested more in about exercises, how to heal your diastasis recti, make sure you watch the first video about science and research based. This is all based on science and research, and let's dive right in. A lot of people now are wondering, okay, would healing diastasis mean I'm gonna reach my goal? My goal is to have a flat stomach. Okay, I don't need to look like I'm a bikini model, but I want to have a flat stomach. Is that possible? Is that what it is? I just need to close the gap.
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh, we could probably spend like an entire episode just talking about this like specific question. Because the term healing, okay, so this is where it gets a little tricky, because healing, the word, implies that something is broken or injured. And that's not to say that the tissues haven't been injured or there's not a problem there. But it's also not to say that there always is some kind of injury or problem with the tissues. It's that when someone has diastasis, we don't know on the continuum at what point someone is going to have a problem or is going, if there's a prediction there that having a diastasis of this certain amount is now going to lead to problems down the road, or is now when they become more susceptible to having issues. So we don't know where that is. Research would say, okay, well, diastasis by definition is, depending on which research study you go to, is like approximately 2 centimeters or greater, a little bit higher than the belly button. That's diastasis. So healing means making sure that whatever we do creates the scenario where that linea alba comes down back to that level of space between the rectus muscles. So healing and research is typically about closing the gap. So now when we don't specifically have a point in time where it becomes a problem, then we don't specifically have a point in time where things have healed. Like when does that healing actually take place? And that's where the subjective experience and what the person actually wants, the subjectiveness of it, that's where it becomes much more important and much more relevant to the conversation. Where it's like,
it's not about it's not about getting down to 2 centimeter. 2 centimeter, what does that even mean, right?
What does it mean? So then it's like, okay, well, the person wants to have a flat stomach, so they will feel healed. They will reach their own point of healing once they achieve that. Or if they want a flatter stomach, maybe they care to have fully flat, but something that their mind looks better than what they have. So something in that direction. Or it could be healing. I feel healed when I can go and start lifting heavy weights again. Or I'll know I'm healed when I no longer have to think about this thing. Like it's just taken over my mind, and I'm constantly thinking about it. How I'm moving, how I'm breathing, how I'm exercising. I'm constantly thinking. So I just want to be free and not have to think about it. So that could be healing for them. At this point in time, we don't have any research to really say what it means to be healed, because we don't have anything to say at what point in having diastasis is that an actual problem.
Say I wanted to heal my diastasis so that I can have a flat tummy. I know I kind of said that already, but like, is it achievable? If we are talking,
it's like it's exactly the problem that we kind of are faced with right now is that's really what people are hoping to achieve based on the information that's out there. They are hoping that in closing the gap, it's going to give them this, and this. It's kind of where we come into the picture and just give them a lot of education on how much that might or might not be contributing.
The expectation, realistic expectations.
Yes, exactly. So the expectations around what they can achieve, and what we're working on and why we're working on it. And it may not be because we're trying to close the gap, but it might be because we're trying to improve the muscle tone of the abdominal wall. It's most likely because we're trying to improve the connective tissue quality of the entire abdominal wall. We're trying to potentially influence where the abdomen is resting when you're not exercising, when you're not engaging. So the resting place of it. And then going back to your original question, is it possible to close the gap? Well, you and I have absolutely seen how possible it is to change the width of the gap through conservative management. And so, yes, it is possible. Now, does the research support that right now? No, but there are issues with the research studies being done. So that aside, at least we know in person when we're working with people, we do see that things do improve. Well, when I say improve, that might not even be the right word. Things do change in the ALBA with programming. But now, is that going to be enough to give someone the flat stomach? Probably not, because like I said, we're only accounting for the centimeters in the center of the abdomen, and we're forgetting that there's a lot of stretching that happens around the whole abdomen. And so to help that, it's about helping all of the muscles around the abdomen and not really focusing on the linea alba. So yes, it's possible. And how? It's about, again, all of the stuff we've been talking about conservative management wise, like strengthening, like all the lifestyle habits as well. And that's what we have. That's the best we can offer right now for management.
Conservative management, having that expectation. And I think that expectation that we give out as a professional to clients is from our experience, from the experience that we know, and like how what we have seen from other cases, not just maybe our own clients, but maybe other clients, right, from other professionals, like seeing that it's coming from the experience that, okay, we know that it is possible, even though, the research might not have fully supported because just the lack of research out there about this, and maybe even enough of a pool to really talk about the woman's body. So I think I would say that we don't know until we try.
Yes.
Well, we really don't know until you don't know until you try. But if you don't try, you will definitely not get there.
Right? It definitely won't change. Exactly.
Yeah, won't change.
That's usually a conversation we have like right at the beginning. Like, okay, we're going to work on this, but we don't know how your body's going to respond to all of these things. So let's try it out. To be realistic, there are going to be exercises that I'm recommending to you because I think they're going to be the ones that you need to do. Try them out for a long enough period of time so that we can give your body the fair chance to go through the changes if we are giving it the adequate stimulus. And then we can see from there if that's what you want to do. If you want conservative, this is kind of what it takes. Because if you just kind of scroll on social media and go from one random exercise video to the next random exercise video and just kind of go in a cycle, that will actually slow you down from progress because of the fact that you just don't have that path or plan. So you do need some kind of a plan and like a way to move on to the next step, rather than it's like working on diastasis can't be random. It just can't be random. There has to be something designed for you, or you have to be educated enough to know when to move on to the next step so that you're always progressing on and forward.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. You can't just be random. Just like weight loss, people who want to do weight loss, or people who wants to body recon, like you can't just do random stuff. Unless you're really super educated, then you know what you are looking for and you do it, right? But if you're not really there and you don't want to spend time in investigating about that, it does take a long time to really understand what's really going on. Like, I think by that time you figure it out, you are expert already. So yeah, it has to be a structure and a plan. And that really leads me to two important questions, and the two final questions here on this video is, does healing, okay, what if I don't heal it? What if I choose not to do anything about diastasis? I guess, I don't feel good, but I just don't want to do it. Maybe I don't have time. I don't choose to heal it. Or maybe like I'm okay, but I choose not to heal it. So kind of that scenario. And then my other question was like, okay, when is it a time that you think a tummy tuck would be an important, or would you consider that? So let's start with what if I don't do anything about healing the DR?
It's if we don't really know how having diastasis impacts the body specifically,
Mm-hmm.
on the continuum of diastasis, it will create problems, and then what the problems are. If we don't actually know that, then it's hard to come up with ideas of what happens if we don't do anything, because we don't know really what we're working on specifically, again, from more of the research understanding. Once you go and look down the surgical studies, these are people who usually do have the more severe cases because of history for it. So that's where we get a few more clues here.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, and so we know from surgical studies that there is an improvement in things like incontinence, in things like back pain, and absolutely in body image. So we know that people with more severe diastases are experiencing these things from surgical studies. And so what happens if you don't work on it? Well, we don't know if you're not experiencing any issues per se.
Yeah,
It's to say that you're going to develop them in the future.
that's right.
We can't be predictive right now because we don't have any data at all to say those things. But if you are currently experiencing those things and you do have diastasis as well, it seems like if you continue to work on things, whether it is through conservative management or through the surgical route, these things could improve. And if you don't work on things, then potentially you're just going to continue having them if they haven't yet improved on their own. And yeah, so the other thing is we don't know from a core functioning standpoint, if we're not working on an abdominal wall that is weak, that is maybe stretched out, we don't know from a function standpoint how it's going to affect kind of the core dynamics long term. You know, the abdomen and the diaphragm work like hand in hand. The abdomen and the pelvic floor work hand in hand. So these muscles are designed to work together really for that management of pressure. So in the long run, if we have one of those walls not quite as optimal as it is normally or was before having kids, what are the long-term consequences of that? Possibly there could be some strategies that the body develops over time to do things that are a bit, that when they're doing something heavier, their strategies,
some muscles are cheating for you,
may not work. Yes, exactly. Yeah. They may not be the greatest strategies. It could be strategies of holding your breath per se, or bearing down in order to feel like you've got that support that the abdomen is not really giving you. So doing that repetitively over time could then lead to problems that are like a consequence of that. So kind of secondary problems.
Yeah.
I have no idea in terms of long-term consequences of a lack of support for the abdominal organs. You really have thinned out tissues that aren't supporting the abdominal organs within the abdominal cavity.
Yeah.
I don't know, like these are things that I think about too. Is there something that could they be affected somehow? Could the functioning of them be affected, or could that lead to other issues, maybe like pelvic organ prolapse later on down the road? So
we don't have a crystal ball.
I'm not sure. I don't have, exactly. I do not have that magic ball. And but I can only kind of speculate and kind of think through, well, if this is possible and that this is also possible, but we just don't know.
Well, yeah, just take a person, whether they don't have diastasis, just general health, for example. If you're already I'm in good shape and you're not as good shape as me, and it's easier for you and susceptible for you to be injured or like maybe have other chronic illness or something to you than to me because I'm stronger, I'm healthier, right? I eat better.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, you know. I think I would this is how I would interpret it myself, right? Even without that science and research, if I'm stronger, if my core is stronger, I don't have back pain issues, I know how to move, I know how to move the furniture, I know how to lift the car seats up. That is heavy. Car seats with the baby, to put it into the car, it's so heavy. Like, I know how to do that. Like, I'm not going to injure myself, but you don't know how. You probably will injure yourself. You might not do it now, and I'm not cursing you, but like, that would be the way I would think it like that, right?
I would fully agree with that. But the body is so smart. Like, it will develop its own strategies, but we just don't know who's going to get away with those strategies and who is, who develop issues with them. The other thing that comes to mind is, what happens if we don't work on it? Well, I think we can't really even have a talk about this particular question without going into how is it affecting the person sort of psychologically. In having it, what does it mean to that person? How is it affecting them on a sort of emotional, mental, even identity level? Because we know that if you don't like the way you look, that will affect so many parts of your life. So it can change your identity in a way. It can potentially erode part of your self-confidence. We know absolutely it affects your body image. So part of your identity, let's say you used to love, well, not love, but used to feel really good in maybe some sexy clothing, in what you would think of as sexy clothing, but you no longer want to wear those things anymore. So like, your sexual identity can change. How does that affect your relationships? Maybe you love dressing up and going out and stuff, but no longer want to do that. You don't buy like the dressier, fancier clothes, but more plain clothes to kind of hide in the background because you no longer want to be the center of attention. You don't want people looking at your stomach because it's more pronounced. So it affects you even at a deeper level than just physically. It affects how you feel about yourself, how you interact with other people, how you show up in the world. And I think the long-term consequences of that, at least, what that does to you on a personal level is definitely something that we don't want to overlook either.
Yes, I agree. And so because it's so personal, and I would say that this is also a personal decision for you whether to do a tummy tuck surgery, would you say?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's not. I will let you talk about it, but like, I would think that it's not so much about because you have diastasis, you need to do surgery. It's not about that. It's about a very personal choice on, and in terms of relating to what you want, your goals, on how you want it to be a certain way, whether it affects your identity, right? It's an important issue, is mental issue, mental health. What would be the point on, okay, that person, you should now consider having a surgery, right? Maybe she probably have tried a bunch of things, or maybe she hasn't. I'll let you take the lead.
But okay, so if the person wants to do conservative management first, then we can guide them down that path and give them the realistic scenarios, how long it's going to take, and what they may or may not achieve physically with their appearance.
Let me interrupt you for a second. Research say it takes up to 18 months to heal diastasis. Is that right?
To change the connective tissue, it takes up to 18 months.
So
not specifically for diastasis, but for connective tissue and fascia in general, because collagen turnover is really, really slow. So it takes a lot of work to make a small amount of change in connective tissue.
Is there research to say how long it would take for somebody to take it down to 2 cm or that in that aspect?
No.
Okay.
Oh, I wish we had that, but it's really, in a sense, it's also telling, because if we don't have that, and maybe if they are studying that, then are we working on the wrong thing? Are we focusing on the wrong thing?
Okay. All right, back to the surgery.
Like you said, it's so personal, and the circumstances of each person's life is so unique. Maybe this individual just is so overwhelmed with their day-to-day life. Adding an exercise program of, 15 to 30 minutes 4 days a week, maybe it just feels like way too much mental load to even go down that path. And to the thought of having to do that for 18 months with no guarantee of anything possibly changing, then they're thinking, okay, is it even worth
Is it worth it?
Yeah, isn't it better then just to do some kind of surgery where I know it's going to give me
a guaranteed result?
A result. There'll be a result there.
Yeah.
Whether the person is happy with it, that's often what we have to talk about too, but it'll give me something at least. Usually then it's a surgery that's done again at least a year and a half roughly after they've started conservative treatment. And if they haven't reached
1.5 years after they start their exercise?
Yes, 18 months.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like they would recommend, like, or you, like, who recommends this?
Yeah, so this is a recommendation from sort of physiotherapists and just anybody working in the conservative field, because that's how long it takes for connective tissue to actually change. So it's not to say that nothing is going to change after 3 months. It's just if you've really not seen much change after 18 months, are you going to continue doing something that's just not working for you? Then we know, okay, you've tried this, you've given it your best shot. I think it's now time that we move on to something else instead. So yeah, 18 months for connective tissue.
Wow, I didn't know it's that long. Before somebody should try the tummy tuck routes, like you, that would be the recommendation from physical therapists in general to try. And I don't imagine 18 months every day nonstop. I don't imagine that. Maybe like a couple of breaks here throughout that period. But wow, it is a recommendation. That's why we don't. So sometimes, yeah, you don't want to make that conclusion too fast for yourself. Maybe you don't want to go down that surgery, because I'm sure it's there's a lot of things to consider when you have to go under the knife, and then also what happens with the rehab afterwards.
Yeah, there's a lot to consider, like, because the surgery is not an easy decision for someone to make. Financially, it's very expensive. It's not covered by insurance or the government health plans. And there's a lot of downtime. And like you said, there's rehab afterwards. It doesn't fix the strength of your muscles. So you still have to work on maintaining the strength that you have.
But at least it will help with the incontinence and the back pain without the rehab, or?
Well, that's what's interesting, is it seems to do that. It's from the research, it seems to make an improvement in those things. Yeah.
Without even having to rehab. Okay, so like maybe after a couple of months of recovery, right?
Yeah.
Auto recovery from the body, then those issues will reduce or subside.
Potentially, like this is what we have a few studies on, at least.
That's great. Yeah. So I would, yeah, I mean, if those issues continue for like 18 months, I mean, back pain and incontinence alone, my gosh, like who wants to wear a pad? I don't want to feel back pain every day waking up. It's torturing. And then like people who have babies, probably what, 20 something, 30, early 30s, maybe, okay, late 30s, maybe early 40s, I don't know. But like you're still really young. You're still really young to have back pain and incontinence issues for how many more years until like it's a long time.
It is, exactly. So that's why sometimes making the decision to have surgery is actually quite an easy one for some people.
Yes. But for these people, right?
Yeah, but some people, of course, like you have to find childcare and like the logistics around how much time off from work you need and the finances, and then just it's a scary surgery. It's a huge, major surgery. But like that can't be dismissed. There's a lot to consider when getting the surgery, and yet I think what people typically don't realize is it still doesn't even guarantee a flat stomach.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it still doesn't guarantee a flat.
Oh, I thought it would. Because I mean, just from what I see, they stitch together everything. I would assume it's flat. No, it doesn't.
No, and that's the problem right now. Is there's a huge amount of misinformation about what the results are. So like the person would have to consider if they're, you know, a good candidate for the surgery based on what they're, you know, what they're dealing with currently, what their status is, talking with a number of surgeons, not just going with the first one that you speak with, to get different opinions. But yeah, it's not even guaranteed that you're going to have a completely flat stomach. They often are in a better place, not perfect. So that's what I always expect better, not perfect.
Okay. I don't, yeah, well, no, thank you so much for bringing that. I don't want to go too much into surgery because I know that's probably can be another full episode in itself. I do just wanted to touch quickly back on the surgery. I hear that people often, or not, maybe not often, but like potentially have to do a second surgery. Is that true? Because the first one didn't do a good job, or maybe something wasn't done right, or is that how sometimes it can be?
I don't know if it's often, but it is common. Like
It's common.
I definitely have read stories, have worked with people had to do that. And it's very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate because they have to pay again for these revisions for the second surgery. And there's so much that goes into the results of the surgery. You know, it could be as simple as the surgeon didn't remove enough skin, so there's still quite a bit of laxity there afterwards. And then if you're still on the inside and there, you know, there's pressure and stuff, then over time the muscles and tissues can still relax and get stretched again. Usually not to the same degree as what they went into the first surgery with, but
that's why you should be in better shape. That's why you need to be a good candidate for the surgery. And I think for that means you should have done some exercises, lose some weight, right? Be in better shape, better health in general in order to go into the surgery. So the recovery is a lot better and easier.
100%. 100%.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I have clients that comes to me who are weighing in, but most of them they choose to just really want to do the exercises, you know, with their own power first before they consider anything else. And I think that's a really great mindsets to have.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, well, we talked a lot. We covered so much. I mean, I'm still like I jotted down like 3 pages of notes here. You know, it's very refreshing to hear from you, and I think I learned so much from you, Munira, all the time, and continue to learn from you. And you've just been so helpful, and I think that we need to continue to bridge that gap to help women to feel better, to feel confident. There's nothing wrong with feeling confident. Nothing wrong to be feeling great. It's not selfish. Self-care is not selfish.
No, it's not. Of course not. Yeah, but we have to rewire or like decondition some of those for sure.
Some of those for sure. Well, thank you so much, Munira. It was so much fun connecting with you. Thank you very much for coming on here. And if you're wanting to learn more about Munira's work, she has a program for exercises for moms who wants to get strong, get fit, you know, healing their diastasis recti. Her program is called Inner Core. And then she also has a program for professionals, and her Instagram, like I said in the beginning of this video, is like amazing, full of educated carousel posts. Those are really, really helpful. And like she spent time on drawing and graphing and like doing all these really interesting graphic that you would not see it anywhere else. So go check out Munira.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's been a blast.
Thank you, Munira. Okay, talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.